Paddy Power stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC. Unlike some other high street bookies, Paddy Power, you beauty!
Hi there, welcome along to the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and I'm delighted to be joined by my Racing Post colleagues Paul Keeley and David Jennings, as well as from Paddy Power, Rob Catterson. It's Coral Eclipse Day at Sandown tomorrow, one of the highlights of high summer. Very competitive race. That tops the bill. We will look at that. We will also look at the Sandown undercard. Some decent stuff up at Haydock, including the Group 2 Lancashire Oaks. And then we will pick through the best of the cards on Saturday as well as Sunday. And we'll let you know who's won the £25 free bet. First of all, though, chaps, the old whip. Caused a bit of a controversy today. Tom Kerr says that racing needs to get rid of it in the end for encouragement purposes. I think everyone agrees that a jockey needs to have one for safety and corrective means. But in terms of actually hitting horses to try and get them to get to the winning line a bit quicker, he believes that public perception is such that if racing doesn't tackle it itself, it will be forced to do it. Anyone got a strong view? Keels, where do you stand on the whip?
Well, I mean, I'm not for banning the whip. I don't see problems with the whip itself other than, other than rules being broken all the time. I mean, it's not a big price. We've got a wide open Eclipse tomorrow. It's not a big price. There'll be a close finish, and the postscript to the report will say so and so got banned 3 days for overuse of the whip, misuse of the whip, etc. I do bump into people. I mean, I walk a dog, and I think it's probably more to do with dog lovers than anything else. But when I say I work in racing, they say, "Oh, I don't like that sport. It's cruel." Like, I have one or two mates that think the same. I don't think that view is all around. Anybody who doesn't like racing, that's it. I mean, more people probably think it's bent than are worried about the whip. In fairness, and most people are wrong on both counts, obviously. For me, I think the whip is fine. I think it needs to be policed better. I think we probably do need to start thinking about disqualifying horses if they go way over the allowed amount, but I haven't got no problem with the use of the whip itself.
Do you remember that whip we had when those new air cushion ones came in? We had one, didn't we? You used to be able to whack it as hard as you could against your shin.
I used to let the boys try, take a run up almost and hit me with it, like, you know what I mean? And it didn't hurt. But I mean, if you just
it did make you get your work done faster, though, didn't it?
Yeah, right. But if you just tell somebody in the street, oh yeah, you could hit they won't believe you. They won't believe you until you demonstrate it.
And also, if it doesn't hurt, why bother with it? Anyway, DJ, where do you stand on the whip?
I think actually Tom wrote the piece quite well. I think it's well written. I disagree with him. I think it's public perception, perhaps, but we have to educate them rather than completely change the rules to facilitate them. I think, it's like, I suppose you're a cycling fan, Bruce, and a lot of people from the outside looking in at cycling would think that it's an individual sport, but that Chris Froome has no chance of winning the Tour de France without his teammates in Sky. That's the perception from people that don't understand the sport. And I think it's similar in racing.
Yeah, but that's not a damaging perception, is it? I mean, if people don't get team tactics in cycling, that's one thing.
It's the perception that's wrong, is the point I'm making. And the perception is wrong in racing as well, that it's damaging to the horses. We need to educate people.
How are you going to do that, though, DJ? I mean, how are you actually going to get people who are sitting in pubs watching the Grand National or watching racing, oh, I don't like that. How are you going to get them to realise that what we know, that it doesn't, the horses don't get badly marked? This is Tom's point. You're never going to do that. You're never going to achieve that.
But it's like everything else in life. We just need to be more vocal about it and give it more coverage. We need to explain to people that don't understand that this is what happens and that there's no knock-on effects of it. I think, and in fairness to Tom, I think a lot of people probably haven't fully read the article, and in his 4th or 5th paragraph he says, before going any further, I wish to clarify one point. I have no personal desire to see the whip banned. And I think that's the main point of the piece, is that basically that I don't think we do need to ban it. I think we just need to educate people on it. And that's the thing. I don't see the point in banning it. Just because public perception is that it's cruel doesn't mean we should ban it.
OK, Rob, do you think racing would fall apart? Would Paddy Power stop taking bets on horse racing if there was no whip?
I don't think it'll fall apart, but while it's a very well-written story, as DJ said, I don't see where it's come from. There's been no issues of late, and it just seems to come out of nowhere. you go back to when I was growing up and all those great rides, and like there was never a word about overuse of the whip. Now we're talking obviously back in the 80s and that. Obviously more recently, like AP and Kieran Fallon were sort of in the headlines numerous times for being banned over it, but like I don't see an issue with it, and I just don't see where it's come from, and I don't know who we're trying to please. I think we're trying to please people who aren't really interested in the sport, and we're trying to get them into the sport, and I don't see where it's come from. I don't think it's a story. I wouldn't be in favour of it.
Okie doke. Righto, chaps, thank you very much for that. Let's get stuck into the Corridor Clips. 3:35 at Sandown on Saturday. And Rob, let's get the betting from Paddy Power.
Okay, Carl Eclipse, obviously. Cliffs of Moher is the 7-4 market leader. We're 11-4 Barney Roy. It's then 7-2 about Imminent. Ulysses is a 15-2 chance. We're 8-1 about Decorated Night, and it's 25's bar now.
Are we keeping the faith with Salouin, Kills?
I'll end up having a couple of quid each way, but with no real thought that he'll get amongst them.
I thought he might need a bit further rather than short.
No. I didn't think he stayed at Ascot, but he was way too far behind anyway.
Okay.
But he's probably not good enough.
Who'd you like?
Well, I don't like the 3-year-olds. I've got a problem with it. I don't think I know that you say the Derby form was worked out, but the 3-year-olds that won at Ascot were against their own age group. They all finished a heap in the Irish Derby. I don't think it's that good. On Racing Post ratings, Cliffs of Moher and Eminent have not run a figure that would have won any 10 furlong Group 1 in Britain and Ireland in the last 10 years. Now,
whoa, that's a hell of a stat. Did you get that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
well done.
Yeah. It doesn't mean they can't win this, because this is an unusually low class Eclipse. A little bit like last year's. They don't need to improve that much to be up to that level. But by the same token, they're 7-4 and 4-1 Cliffs of Moher and Eminent, and I can't have them. I think Barney Roy would thrash the pair of them over a mile, and if he does stay, he'll definitely beat them. My concern with him is if you go and have a look at that Ascot race, he didn't half pull hard early. Now, you want to go down to the 2 furlong pole at Sandown and see how far it is uphill. He's got to get those 2 furlongs. There's no reason why he shouldn't on breeding, but if he's really keen early, he's going to struggle. So for me, I made
in play bet them.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I made it the older horses, and I think Decorated Night ran an improved race when second to Highland Rule. He's been improving all the time. He's a 2-time Group 1 winner this season, but he got really warm and worked up at Ascot, and it was a really sweltering day on Prince of Wales Day, and I think that he might be even better than that. The weather won't be so baking hot tomorrow, and I cannot see him finishing out the frame.
Decorated Night each way then for Kills, with a side order of in play on Barney Roy if he's not shaking his head around in the early furlongs. David Jennings, how do you see this one?
I agree with Paul. I think Decorated Night is the best of the older horses, but I'd be staggered if he's able to give that weight to Barney Roy. I think, as Paul said, if this was a mile race... I think
it is weight for age, Dave, isn't it? I mean, it is weight for age, and it is actually a pound less than it was last year.
Oh, no, I understand that, but I'm just saying on actual recent form and visualization and stuff, I don't think he's going to be able to give that weight away. And I think Barney Roy, when the betting came out earlier on in the weekend, Barney Roy was 4-1. I was so tempted to back him heavily at that price, but I just presumed he was that price because there was a big chance that he'd go for the other race. Then when he was declared a definite runner, he was still 3. I just think he's far too big of a price. I think if you go through every single one of his races, his best furlong has been his last furlong. It was the same in the Guineas. It was the same when he beat Dream Castle at Newbury. I thought it was the same at Ascot as well in the St James's Palace Stakes. You think Lancaster Bomber has half a length up on him a furlong to go, and he's going away at the line. I thought he won quite convincingly. He was a shade keen. I think he's the best horse in the race. I think he's going to be the best horse in the race. I think he's going to prove that a mile 2 is going to be his best trip. I know there is doubts, but sometimes you just have to believe your eyes rather than the breeding, and I think he will get a mile 2, and I actually think he's the bet of the day. When
I first started working at Catford Dog Track, one of the trainers, John Horsfall, said to me, I've got a word of advice for you. Let your eyes be your guide and your money the last thing you part with. So that stands up what you're saying there, DJ. Let your eyes be your guide. Rob Catson, let's talk about the favourite, Cliffs of Moher. What are you going to do with him? Lay him?
I'd say so, yeah. I didn't think he could get beaten in the Epsom Derby. Obviously, he ran well, but to me, he's an out-and-out stayer. He showed in Chester that, he ran lazily, but he was doing his best work close home. And again, at Epsom, It looked as though he was running over his trip. I'd be staggered if he could win over 1 mile and 2. And like the lads, I'm all over Barney Roy. There's no evidence from what I've seen that he won't stay the 1 mile and 2. Taj Mahal is going to go out in front. That should make it a good test, and that'll help Barney Roy settle. And like DJ, I think he's a good thing.
Right, there's a lot of confidence for Barney Roy. Kills thinks Decorated Knight is the one. Jolly good. 150, the first of the big TV races on the Sandown card, is the Coral Challenge, a Group 3 sprint over the 5 furlong trip. And Rob Batash's favourite.
Yeah, sure is. After his Sandown win, we're money back in the next 3 home, presuming he goes off favourite and wins. So we're 11-4 about Batash. It's 9-2 Gold Dream and Muthmir, 6-1 Alpha Delfini, 7-1 about Tis Marvellous, 12's Line of Reason, and 14's Bar.
Right, Kills, you go first. You're going to go for an oldie or a new one?
No. I mean, I was very impressed with Batash when he won the Scurry last month. That was a real sort of eye-opener. He'd always threatened to be really good, but he just it was such a tearaway. But even though he was keen, he wasn't as keen as he was last year out of him being gelded, and he absolutely bolted up, and he did it from stall 9, which is normally the wrong place to be. Now, I'm a little bit concerned that I think, the 11-4 is about as short as I want to be. Like, he was 11-2 in the anti-post markets earlier in the week, which was a lovely price. He's got stall 2 this time. I think, they may even decide, well, let's let him go, because that's what he did last year. He made the run in. And if he gets that rail, and you won't get an easy lead in a race like this, but if you get that rail, the way he picked up last time, I think he'll probably win. But he probably doesn't deserve to be as short as that. If there's no draw bias, which there normally is, then Alpha Delfini would probably be the one I would back against him. I think he ran a decent race at Royal Ascot, went 6th, and does like these strong 5 furlongs.
DJ, what are you going to do? Back the favourite or take him on?
Well, I'm a fan of Batash. I actually tipped him up on this when he won at Sandown earlier on in the season. But the closer the race gets, the more I'm starting to fancy Tis Marvellous, because I just have a sneaky suspicion that these 3-year-old sprinters are well above average this year. Like, he was 4th to Blue Point and Harry Angel in the Pavilion Stakes, and then I thought he actually ran quite well in the Commonwealth Cup. When you look back at it again, like, he was basically upsides like 2 furlongs out, and he was smack bang in the middle, in the heat of battle, in probably the best race of the week at Royal Ascot, and it was there, ready to attack. And I think he's got plenty of natural pace. He's drawn in stall 6 for Clive Cox, who certainly knows how to train sprinters. And I thought 8-1 was quite a big price about Tis Marvellous. I'd be willing to chance him.
Righto, Rob?
Yeah, Batash probably the one to beat. Obviously, the form was frank last week with Carapick winning, and I suppose he could end up a Group 1 sprinter at the end of the season. He's got a Group 1 entry. I thought the horse just below him, Kailang Rock, on a line through Fashion Queen, doesn't have an awful lot of ground to make up on Batash. Pretty consistent. And about 14th, Kylan Rock each way, but Batash definitely the one to beat.
Competitive handicap over the mile at 2.25. It's the Coral Challenge. And Rob, take us away with the latest from Paddy Power.
Okay, so as of now, we are 9-2 about Greenside. That's the market leader. 7-1 about Blair Horse and Naval Warfare. 8 George William. 10's Ian Hopkins and El Hammam, and 12's Bar.
Keels, away you go.
Now a wide draw at Sandown on the round course isn't totally insurmountable, but it is a disadvantage. And the 7 of the last 10 winners of this race were drawn 6 or lower, and the last 5 were drawn 4 or lower. And you've got horses like Blair House drawn 16, Naval Warfare drawn 17, who are among the favourites. I'd imagine they will drift. It might not stop them winning, but Greenside's definitely the one to beat. He quickened up really nicely to win here last time. He had to wait for a gap, but once it came, he quickened up quite nicely. But I do think that George William, who was in stall 6, is still a horse well handicapped. He's run some really nice races this year. Won first time up. Had a troubled run, went 4th to Banksy in the Spring Mile at Newbury, and then was 2nd to Fastnet Tempest in the Victoria Cup, doing all his best work late. He was on the wrong side. I think only 3 went over there in the Hunt Club on the Wednesday of Royal Ascot. I think you can write that run off completely, and I think he's a fair price, George William.
George William for Kills. Who for you, David?
Greenside for me, Bruce. As Paul said there, course form, especially on the flat course at Sandown, it's kind of a funny enough track, especially when they turn into the home straight. And and he did have to wait for a gap to open last time. I thought he'd go up more than £5 for that. I know the official winning distance was a length and a quarter, but he put the race to bed in a couple of strides once he got to the front, and just thought he was that typical Henry Candy improver type. Like, he's a 6-year-old now. He's only had 8 races, which is hard to believe, but he's won half of them. And as Paul said, the draw is key here. Drawn and stalled too. I'd say Martin Harley will be able to get a nice bit of cover. To me, there's not too many negatives at all. I do agree that George William could potentially be well handicapped, and I don't think we've seen the best of him yet. And Sandown might suit, but Greenside to me is rock solid.
OK, Rob Katzen, who do you fancy?
Yeah, I like Naval Warfare down at the bottom. On a hat-trick after winning his last 2. He was pretty good at Leicester in his most recent start. He dominated from the front, and he won with it quite a bit in hand. So he's pretty progressive. I can't see him out of the frame. I think he could get things on his own way up front.
Quite interesting thing about him is he was taken out of the Britannia at Royal Ascot for his and his owner mate, bless him, got into the race as a reserve. So whether they thought, well, bless him was a much better horse than Naval Warfare, so I wonder whether they think he's got limitations or not.
And I suppose, Kills, if you're looking to make the running, that could offset a wide draw if you get out and crack on down there.
Getting out and getting across, it takes some energy to do that because you're a long way from the rail if you want to make the running.
And your first turn is that sort of kink halfway down the back,
exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah.
OK, jolly good. 3 o'clock, the Coral Distaff, a listed race. Over a mile. And again, we've got some really competitive stuff tomorrow. It's hardly an odds-on favourite in sight in any of our featured races. And we're 11 of Orderfield here, aren't we, Rob?
We sure are. Paco's Angel tops the market. It's 7-2 then about Queen of Time. We're 6 is Standing Rock and Tis But a Dream. 8 Pavilion and Dancing Breeze, and we're 12 Spar.
John, I think every punter has fancied at one point in their life just having one go standing on one of them little crates with a board at a racecourse shouting out stuff like 6 of Orderfield. Don't you fancy it, Kills? Don't you be any good as a racecourse bookmaker?
I doubt it. I once, I probably shouldn't admit to this, but I once ran a book years and years ago in a local boozer, and Phil Donaldson was on our ground as he came in. It was Oaks Day, and his missus came in. She wanted a back jet ski lady, £2 each way, and he talked her out of it. Said, "Don't be ridiculous."
One at 50 to 1.
50 to 1. It was brilliant.
Don't be ridiculous. You'll never get paid.
Well, quite. Yeah.
There was that to it.
Kills, who's going to win the Coral Distaff?
Well, I don't think many of these 3-year-olds are all that good. So I would take a chance on the Gosden Maiden winner, Standing Rock. Obviously, has got to improve a fair deal, but if you look at these, none of these has actually achieved the level that would win an average running of this. And I think, if that's the case, I'll take the lightly raced possible improver that could be miles better than, it's got a handicap mark of 82, so it's way below a lot of these. But Gosden's straight in a listed race. Don't worry about the handicap mark. I'll take a chance.
Each one the flat 8 or all up to win?
Probably be all up to win until they're going behind, because you never know with these non-runners these days, do you?
I know, there's too many, isn't there? DJ, what do you think will happen here?
I think just the funny thing about Standing Rock, what price did you see the race the first day, Paul?
I did see it, yes. I can't remember the prices.
It went 119 to 1 on the exchanges. It looked like it just got the penny dropped very late that day.
Yeah.
The one I like is Tis But a Dream, because I just have this feeling that she might just get an easy lead up front. She ran okay. She was 9th to the American thing in the Sandringham, and I thought she ran okay that day. She was bang there 2 furlongs out, but I think Sandown around the turn might suit her better. Sylvester takes the mount for David Ellsworth, and her form is pretty solid. She was 3rd to Laugh Aloud at Epsom, and before that at Ascot she beat Permission, and what I thought was a pretty strong fillies handicap that day. She's rated 97. She doesn't have that much in hand. Like, I could never see her being rated 110 or anything like that. But as Paul said, I don't think it's the strongest edition of this race, and she might just get a freebie up front. So yeah, I'm going to go for Tis But a Dream.
You got a strong view, Rob?
Yeah, I was going down through the race, and as sort of Paul said, there was nothing standing out. And then it came to the rank outsider, and I had a look at her form. And I remember when she won at Lingfield, she gave the impression that she might be a filly going the right way. And she's trained by Richard Hannon. Tai Hang Dragon, she's the rank outsider 20 to 1. His fillies are flying, and I just got the impression that she could be one who's just starting to prove herself. And 12 months ago, Richard Hannon won this race with another 20 to 1 shot. So Tai Hang Dragon, lightning strike twice in a really wide open race, and let's hope the 8 run. OK,
Rob, that's interesting, because everyone's been going for some fairly short ones at Sandown so far, but you've rounded off our look at Sandown with a big price. OK, quickly, competition time. Every week we give listeners and viewers the chance to win a free £25 or €25 bet, courtesy of our sponsors, Paddy Power. Monday's question, which Maddie asked, was who rode Capri in last weekend's Irish Derby? Keels, do you know the answer?
Shamie Heffernan, wasn't it?
Correct, Shamie Heffernan. And John Eccles. I was thinking you might have zoned out there. You're quite good at that, aren't you? You've got sort of earlids, haven't you?
I was starting to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was this week's question. You're just giving it away.
No, that was last week's question, which John Eccles knew. John Eccles from Lancashire has won a free £25 bet with Paddy Power. Well done. Back in a mode to look at Haydock.
Paddy Power are offering money back as a free bet if the horse you back finishes second, third or fourth to the SP favourite in 2 races today and every day this month. Max £25 per race. T&C supply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, it's Bruce Millington, Paul Keeley, David Jennings and Paddy Power's Rob Catterson, and we are looking at Haydock's televised races starting at 2:05 with the Bet365 handicap over 1 mile and 6. Rob, take it away with a show of betting.
Right, we're 9-4 about Humble Hero. It's 13-2 Zenon, 7's Mr. Manjuro and Cribs Causeway. We're then 9-1 about a Dominating and Cray, and they were 12 bar.
Me and Keel's got a bit thrown there because on our running order it's got the 3 o'clock Betfred Northumberland Vars handicap. I actually know the winner of that because it was run last week, so I won't be doing that race. We're doing the 2:05 now, Keels. Who's the winner of this?
Yeah, right. Well, everybody knows that Richard Kingscote is just absolutely brilliant at Haydock, and you find that he gets booked by all sorts of trainers there, and he just has winner after winner, and he's on the top weight here. Mr. Manjura for Mark Johnston. Mark Johnston has put him on 2 horses at Haydock in the last 4 years, both times this year. Both won, 3-1 and 11-2. He put him on Mr. Manjuro, who 2 starts ago was 4th to Time to Study in a valuable handicap at Musselburgh, and last time wasn't at all disgraceful, 7th in the Queen's Vars at Royal Ascot. I think he will take the world of beam.
When Keels says something like that, any thoughts I may have about a race or an event just go out the window, and he just absolutely convinces me. That was brilliant. Has he convinced you, DJ, or are you going to try and put forward an alternative view?
I will put forward an alternative view, but first I'll back him up. Richard Kingscote, 45 rides at Haydock this year, 14 winners, plus 26.85 profit. He is the man at Haydock. And he seems to always get it right. He's one of these jockeys at this track. If he's on the front end, you always kind of think he's going too quick, but he seems to always save enough. And if he's held up, you know they're going too quick. He just has found the key to Haydock. I don't know how he's done it, but he has, because I've kind of been monitoring him closely. And Mr. Manjuro certainly has a chance. Drawn in stall 1, I'd imagine he'd be pretty positive. But this Cribs Causeway, this is a filly going places rapidly. I've seen her last 3 races. She was evens the last twice, which was picking up money. She officially won by 3 3/4 lengths and 2 3/4 lengths. That is basically the real equivalent of about 13 3/4 lengths and 12 3/4 lengths, because she absolutely bolted up both times. She's gone up another £7 to 82, but you know what? I don't think it's enough. I think she's got tons in hand. She's only had 7 races, and Roger Charlton has his team in cracking form. Kieran Schumacher's in great form. He takes off £3. I think this is a stayer with a really big future. I don't think she'll go off the colour 7-1. I think she's got a great chance. Cribs Causeway.
Do you know where Cribs Causeway is, anyone?
No idea.
DJ?
No, not at all. No.
You kind of think it's probably like an ancient sort of thoroughfare or a geographical feature. It's actually a retail outlet near Bristol. How about that? Rob Carson, who wins this?
Yeah, I'm with DJ. Just when you look at what she's done in her last 3 runs, as Dave said, she's much better value for those winning distances. And I think the step up to 1 mile and 6 won't bother her at all. And Roger Charlton's horses are flying. Kieran Schumacher gets on with her really well. I can't see her out of the frame, and as DJ said, I think the money is going to come for her.
OK, you did your best, lads, but I'm sticking with Keels.
It's a huge jump up in class, you know. Class 6,
oh,
class
massive,
5.
yeah.
You know, it's a massive jump up in class.
Righto, let's look at the 240. It's the Bet365 Lancashire Oaks, Group 2 over 1.5 miles. And Abingdon for Sir Michael Stout and that man Richard Kingscote is Fav, isn't he, Rob?
Yeah, she is. 15 play about Abingdon. We're 7-2 the Black Princess, 4 is Hertford Dancer, 9-2 Ajman Princess. There's been support for both Dubka and Rich Legacy since this morning. Dubka's 8, Rich Legacy is 12s, and 25's the outsider Wilhelmina.
Away you go, Keels.
Yeah, I mean, there you go. St Michael Stout as the favourite. Books Richard King Haydock knows what he's doing, doesn't he? I mean, Abingdon won really well last time, and she's from a really good family, and she's likely to improve. And you know, she's a rock solid favourite. I have actually had a little each way on his other runner, Dubka, though, with Pat Dobbs on board. Was back down to favourite in the race won by Asman Princess at Goodwood early in the season, ran no sort of race on her return, and then ran really well, went second in the Pinnacle Stakes here last time. That was on soft ground, and the Goodwood race was on fast ground, and it's going to be fast tomorrow, but I think it was just too bad to be true first time at Goodwood, and she did act on fast ground last year, so I took a little chance each way on her.
OK, and we'll be hoping, obviously, that the flat 8 all run for Dubka each way purposes. DJ, what's your view on the Lancashire Oaks?
I think the Black Princess could get a freebie up front here. Wilhelmina did make the run in the past, but she's up in trip, and I just don't know if she's going to go forward. And when you go through the whole field, the only one that wants to lead is the Black Princess. And I know she was beaten by Blonde Me last time, but it was only a 4-runner race at York. But it was a bit of a messy race. Smart Call was third. Smart Call has ran quite well since. Queen's Trust was fourth. It was only 4 runners, and it was a Group 2, and everybody was saying what a bad Group 2 it was. But I actually think it was better than the perception is out there. And I think she could get a freebie up front. And when she does get things her own way up front, she's a pretty good filly. I'm hoping she could kind of kick early in the home straight on the Robert Hart. And she might just be able to hang on. I think 5-1 is decent each way value if the 8th run.
What do you reckon, Rob?
Yeah, I echo DJ's thoughts again. The form, even though she was disappointing at York, the form hasn't been let down. Smart Call and Queen's Trust have both run well since. And I think if there's a Group 1 filly in this race, it could be her. She could kick on now, and I think this is well within her grasp. Yeah, the Black Princess for me. OK,
the other televised race at Haydock Park is the 3:15. It's the Bet365 Old Newton Cup. More stamina needed here because it's a 1.5 miles. And again, wide open. Another testing puzzle for the panel. But before they tell us who they fancy, Rob's going to give us a show. Yeah, we're 4-1 about Schrolla. We're 6s then about Big Country, 15-2 Barocco, 8th Moonmeister, 10-1 Soldier in Action, and Carntalk. 11's Capstad, 14's Bar. No one's tipped a Rafe yet. Are you going to do that here, Kills?
I was going to tip one here.
Go on, we'll start with you then. We'll start with you. Go on then. Why is Rafe going to be on the market?
I was just about to say I get a few brownie points from you here because I fancy Carntalk. And it's funny, I've kind of fancied him since his race at Epsom. He was really unlucky that day. It was 25-1. You probably backed it, so you probably know exactly how it ran.
Yeah.
But it was quite unlucky. Now I know there's so many horses that are always unlucky at Epsom, but Carntalk was particularly unlucky because everywhere Pat Dobbs went from the 2 furlong pole, it was just a horse came across it, or basically the gap just wasn't quite big enough, and it was beaten 3.5 lengths by Soldier in Action that day. But that run can seriously be upgraded. It was his second run of the season. I think he's coming along nicely. I always thought he would be slightly better than the 100 rated handicapper. You have to remember he was only beaten half a length in the Lingfield Derby trial last year. Was quite impressive at Newmarket before that. I'd say this has been the plan since that race at Epsom. Drawn in stall 5, raced horses as ever are in form. Yeah, top will be bang there.
OK, well done, DJ. Kills, what do you think will happen here?
Yeah, well, I'm going for another horse that was unlucky at Epsom in Barocco. Sort of I've been following him, and I've done a lot of money of him since he won at Epsom in April. He ran at Chester next time, and although I don't think he'd have beaten a bit of a handicap blot in K-Rat, he had no chance from the off because he was held up while the favourite made his own steady pace. But the way he went round the rest of the field and was going away at the death was seriously impressive. And then, you know, apparently he got a little bit upset behind the stalls or even in the stalls at Epsom last time, and he was very keen early, and he was still running on, but he just never got anything like a break at Epsom, did he? And you know, he is bred to want this extra trip. He runs like he'll get it. I mean, if he's really keen, he won't. That's a worry for me. But I do think he's a very well handicapped horse. But I've also had a bet on one of the complete rags called Cosmopolitan, trained by Alan King. Now, you've got to forgive a pretty awful run at York last time because he beat only a couple of home and was beaten miles. But it was very soft ground. Well, it wasn't very soft, but it was soft ground. York can throw up some funny results. He just didn't like it. It wasn't his running. He was 7th to Frontiersman in that red-hot handicap at Newmarket earlier this season, and he travelled really, really well for a long way. His best form last season was on flattish tracks. Really travelled well here last year in September before not staying 1.6 miles, and I think just at a massive price, he's worth an each-way bet.
This Haydock meeting is very much a Paul Keeley hot meeting, isn't it? You've had some results down the years, haven't you?
Good results, most notably with Bathsheba when she won her first Lancashire Oaks.
Indeed. Rob, who do you think is going to win the Old Newton?
Yeah, it's a big country for me. He's the form horse in the race. He's already won 3 this season, and the only time he was beaten, he was a close enough for the Frontiers man, and of course that form's been franked since. He won over 1 mile and 2 the last day, but I think back over 1.5 miles, and he's really, really tough, and he's so consistent. And I think for Josephine Gordon, I know DJ's a big fan of her, you need toughness to win this, and I think he ticks all the boxes. Righty-ho.
Before we get the naps, anything at Bellestown, Beverley, Carlisle, the Haydock undercard, Leicester, Naas, Nottingham, the Sandown undercard, Paul Keeley?
Sandown undercard, first race, Al Mareb of Richard Hannon's. Tried to make the running up to 1 mile last time and really stuck his head down, but didn't stay. Just got so the winner started to go away from him with about 100 yards to go, and then he lost 2 more places. He's down to 7 furlongs. I think he will make all.
DJ?
Yeah, Naas in the 2:45. I think it could be worth giving Golden Pearl another chance. She's drawn in stall 3. She ran at the Curragh last weekend, and things didn't really go according to plan. Was caught on the wrong part of the track, and Shane Foley tried to make his challenge kind of in between horses, and then was forced very, very wide. She's only beaten 2 lengths. She's gradually coming to hand, so slowly but surely. She's down to 79. I think she's well handicapped. It's quite an interesting little filly's handicap because Music Box is in it, but she's an absolute rogue. I don't think she wants to race at all. There'll be plenty of pace in it with One Over You, and Miss Power is in there as well. I just think it could be set up for Golden Pearl. She's got a hood on and a tongue strap. I do think, I always thought she would win a handicap like this off a mark in the 70s, and she's off 79. So Golden Pearl in the 2:45 at Naas.
Okay, and Rob, you've normally sussed 1 or 2 for us over there in the Emerald Isle.
Yeah, I've a few, so I'm going to try and have to do a DJ on this.
No, don't do a DJ. Be concise. Do a DJ, we'll be here all night. So go on, away you go. The horse, the race, and 3 words in why each of them's going to win.
Right, 1:35 at Naas. My Mystique, 3rd the first day, should win. 3:20 Naas. Strike for Freedom, a national stakes entry. He won well in his debut. I think he'll follow up. Gold Rush for Jim Bulger. By Frankel out of Alexander Gold Run. She makes her belated debut in the 3:55. Watch out for her. Sarah Felly in the 4:30 for Peter Fahey. He won 2 heading into the Curragh last week. Didn't get a run. I think he could bounce back. And in the lucky last at Naas, Enemy of the State. He's had 3 runs in average maidens at Dundalk. He makes his handicap debut. Johnny Levin's horse are flying. And he's running for the first time after being gelded, which is always good.
6 tips in the time it normally takes David Jennings to clear his throat. Well done, Rob. Excellent stuff. Let's get the naps.
This will not be beaten.
Kills, who are you going for?
Yeah, I go Mr. Manduro in the 2:05 at Haydock.
David Jennings.
I will be gutted and questioning my judgment on horse racing if Barney Roy does not win the Eclipse.
Okay, and that's obviously 3. What is it?
3:35 Sandown, sorry.
Come on. I know it's the big race. You've still got to adhere to the rules, DJ. And Rob Catterson, what's your nap?
Yeah, it was going to be Barney Roy, so I'll go to Ireland. Sarah Felly in the 4:30. There'll be a price, and he represents an informed trainer, Peter Fahey.
Splendid. Let's have a look at Sunday then. Where are we racing on Sunday? It's not one of the big high-profile Sundays, is it? There's 8 races at Ayr, there's 8 races at Limerick, and there's 7 at Market Raisin. Kills, hopefully you've had a bit of a study up. Where is the spotlight
I could only
them?
find one that sort of interested me, sort of half interested me, to be honest. It's not the best Sunday, is it? But there's a fair handicap at Ayr, and I like one that will probably be a very big price, called Salmon Sushi, trained by Tim Easterby. Has basically been out of form, but the Racing Post ratings has been running to have been steadily creeping up this season while his handicap market is going down, and that's the sort of profile I like when you're going to get a big price. And Salmon Sushi has dropped £16 since October. It's in the 2:05. It's 2:10 at Ayr.
It's 2:10 at Ayr. Okay.
It's dropped £16 since October, and it's dropped down to about 71. Last RPR it ran to was 68. If he goes up again, he's going to get close to being, to run into a figure he can win off. And I just think, at a big price, he'll go well.
Salmon Sushi in the 2:10 at Ayr on Sunday for Paul Keeley. DJ, what have you got for us on Sunday?
Oh, I have one, Bruce. I have
great.
one. I'm going to do a Frank Hickey imitation here. Oh, there's one in here, Bruce.
Excellent.
There's one
that
in
was
here.
very good.
Is it not even funny?
I can't do the thick Cork accent, but that's my best impression. Yeah, 4:45 at Limerick is the Galway Plate Trial. So this is the highlight of a fairly shite Sunday of racing everywhere. But I think I found one here, and it's last year's winner, the King of Brega. Now, Rob will have very, very horrible memories of the King of Brega, because this was the horse that beat his handicap good thing, Ben Button, that he napped on the podcast a few weeks ago. That was back from like 4s into 8 to 11. But the King of Brega beat Ben Button that day by 7 lengths, bounced right back to form, and obviously beat a well-handicapped horse that had moved to Willie Mullins. He won this race last year by 12 lengths off a mark of 123, absolutely bolted up. It's just Limerick is a track that suits him, because he can be ridden prominently, he can ping fences, and Henry has just got him back right to the peak of his powers. This has obviously been the aim again. He's 7 pounds higher than he was in the race last year. But as I said, horses for courses, horse in form. Brian O'Connell is booked. Yeah, King of Brega all over it in the 4:45 at Limerick.
Where's Brega, DJ? Is that somewhere in Ireland?
I'm not sure, actually.
I'm looking at I'm looking at an ancient map of Ireland. I think Brega's roughly where the Curragh is, actually, by the look of it. Yeah.
One of these days you're going to ask me one of them questions and I'm going to know the answer to.
No, you're quite a wise sort of guy. What's your Sunday nap, Rob Catterson?
The Sunday nap is possibly Deputy's Pass in the beginner's chase. The ran in a handicap hurdle recently. The last time he ran over fences, he possibly was going to win a beginner's chase when he fell. That was won by Gallant Tip. And Paul Townend rides for Alan Fleming and Barry O'Connell. No Dennis O'Regan. I don't know, there might be a story there for you, but I thought Deputy Pass
injured
would win that. So there you go.
Okay. Tell me again the race and the meeting.
Limerick 4:10, the race before the Galway Plate Trial, Deputy's Pass.
Deputy's Pass. Okay then, lads, well done. Excellent. Kills, what's the weekend hold? Off to Sandown tomorrow?
Yeah, off to Sandown tomorrow, local track. So, we'll have a good drink up there and then recover Sunday.
Excellent. I'm missing Sandown, unfortunately. Daisy's got a play, so I'm looking forward to seeing her do her thing, but it clashes with the Eclipse, so I'll be moaning at her stage teacher for that.
What's the play, Bruce?
I'm not sure, to be honest. It's like a performance. She does this performing arts stuff, so a bit of singing and a bit of dancing.
I was never one for plays, but I went to see Blood Brothers a few weeks ago, and it was unbelievable.
Was it? Were they dancing in the aisles?
No, it's like it's like a story. It was called a musical, but it's not a musical. It was a proper play. It was brilliant.
Yeah, but presumably there were songs in there as well, yeah?
Oh, there was, yeah.
Did you dance?
Yeah. I kind of move my shoulders. I can't dance. I can only I've only one move where I drop my left shoulder and I click my fingers.
Wedding dancing. You were at a wedding last week, weren't you? How did that go?
Yeah, in the Aran Islands, it was brilliant. Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. It was like getting a boat over to the 1970s. You know, when just everything, like we were staying in this kind of B&B style thing, and the woman from the B&B dropped us to the hotel where the wedding was, and she came out the door and just left it open, and I said, are you locking the door? She goes, I'm living in this house 30 years and I haven't locked my door yet.
Excellent. So you went and nicked all her jewellery. Jolly good.
Yeah.
Rob,
right
what
in the fridge. But come here, before you move on, Bruce, I know this is the racing podcast, but I have to give people a GA bet that cannot lose this weekend, okay?
Okay.
Because people might be listening, and do listen to the GA podcast as well. But Cavan -2 in the handicap against Tipperary at even money with Paddy Power is an absolute certainty. And I will take all the criticism in the world if this doesn't come up. They could win by at least 6 points. So Cavan -2.
Is that Saturday or Sunday?
Saturday, 2 o'clock.
And is it round ball or stick and slitter?
Round ball, Gaelic football.
Football.
Cavan against Monaghan, yeah.
Will you be involved in that, Kills?
Well, I might do now. He said, yeah.
It's worth it, isn't it? Rob, what are you going to do over the weekend? You normally work weekends, Rob, don't you?
Yeah, I've got a rare weekend off. I'm actually going to one of the other games tomorrow on the football front. So I'd say DJ could be on the money there. Tipperary's main man is out, so I wouldn't put anyone off. Now off this weekend, so it'll be nice to be away from the action for a couple of days.
What game are you going to?
Westmeath and Armagh and Mullingar.
Okay, well done, chaps. Enjoy your GAA. Good luck with your bets, Kills. Enjoy Sandown. Maddie will be back on Monday, looking back on the weekend and ahead to the following weekend. And there will be another weekend postcast next Friday. If you do enjoy the shows, do please rate us or leave a review and subscribe on iTunes. Like I say, back Monday and then another weekend preview postcast next Friday.
Check out Paddy Power's new and exclusive Cash Card Plus. Available to use online, at ATMs or even down the local. Paddy Power, you beauty.